week's weekly forecast. My name's Vicki and I'm the travelling tarot teacher. This week I'm coming to you from beautiful Cooma in northern New South Wales. It's close to the snowy mountain area. I suppose it's more south than north, but close to Canberra, close to the snowy mountains. And I'm heading back to sunny Queensland, hopefully in the next couple of days, if we can get over the border with the restrictions, so fingers crossed. And if you're following my newsletter, you'll see that pretty soon I'll be in one place for a little while, and I'm hoping to put in place some in-person appointments so that I can catch up with my regular clients. Still be doing the online appointments, but for now I'll be in one place for a little while. So anyway, let's get on with the forecast. Weekly guidance for week commencing June the 7th, 2021. As usual, I'll be using the Mythic Tarot, and I'm going to be choosing 6 cards from this deck and interpreting them and giving us some guidance to see where we're heading, what we're heading into, how we're going to be managing it, where we're going to be challenged, and what it means for us on a spiritual level. So I'm choosing six cards, as I usually do. Such a contrast from last week. I was on a beach last week. It's a bit chilly here. It's winter. Luckily it's not snowing yet, thank goodness, because it can snow around this area. Okay, so I've just chosen 6 cards. Make sure I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Right, so the first card we're looking at is us and where we're at, how we're what we're consciously aware of this week, what we know, and we've got the Page of Wands. So it looks like a little bit of restlessness this week. We're going to be feeling that urgency or that urge to do something, not really sure where to put that energy, but it's always a fun time, and it's a frustrating time, but the fact that the motivation is there is a very good point to tap into. So don't it's not always a great idea to get too frustrated around that you can't sort of put your lay your plans down anywhere in particular, simply because the Page of Wands is not going to allow that. All it's doing is revving up your engine and getting you motivated. So let's have a look at what soul influences, what's influencing it or sort of moving us in that direction. So we have the 7 of Swords. That's an interesting combination, the 7 of Swords. The 7 of Swords is about it's about listening and observing rather than jumping in and making quick decisions, or speaking what's on your mind. It's very not controlled, but what's the word? It's a very considered way of communicating with people. Oftentimes it comes across as you're not trusting or that you're judging somebody when you're sitting in 7 of Swords energy. But what you're doing is that before you jump in, before you say something, before you communicate, you are considering your position. You are taking in everything that's around you and making some discerning decisions before you actually move forward or communicate something. So putting these two together, there is definitely lots of energy around, and the 7 of Swords energy is helping us not to get too overwrought. What should I be doing? What should I be doing? So I would be, I know myself, I'm just going to be enjoying the motivation and perhaps channeling it into some things that are going to be a little bit fun. And in the meantime, the 7 of Swords energy is going to help us observe. Okay, so it's going to help us find or observe or understand or notice that which is going to be best to put our energy into. So that's 7 of Swords energy is really good for that. It stops us from jumping here, especially with the page around. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at what is, I suppose, challenging us, what can be negative in that space, and what is it that we're learning, or that could be a little bit of a soft spot or a sensitive spot for us. And we have the High Priestess. So there'll be a real challenge to our intuition here. The 7 of Swords is in play, so that means the mind is focused, the mind is making those decisions, and it'll be sort of at odds with our intuition. Is this right? Is that right? And that's why the 7 of Swords is there. It's sort of forcing us to hang back a little bit so that we can truly trust our intuition. So in this space of not jumping into something and considering things, we will then be and communicating with our intuition, because it's a little bit iffy, we will then be teaching ourselves to trust it a lot more, simply because the Seven of Swords brings about that quiet time as well. And when we have that quiet time and that sort of intuitive nature is allowed to bubble up, when we're not very connected to it, it can sound like a foreign voice, but it's actually the one that's there all the time. So we'll be having that time to tune into that intuitive part of us. And that's why it's a challenge, because perhaps we haven't been listening to it for a while, and now it's going to become bubbling up. We're like a foreign language in our souls. Okay, so what's our response? How are we going to act? What are we going to step into? Oh, Two of Pentacles. Look at this. So that tells me our intuitive nature, the Seven of Swords with consideration, and the Page of Swords with the motivation and the energy to move forward. The action here is that we are going to say, right, I have everything. We're going to gather together everything and recognize and name it and say, I have this, I have this, I have this. I can actually do this with it. So all of that energy that's going to be bubbling around us is going to help us recognize what skills and talents we have, and help us make that decision. Twos are all about decisions, and the Two of Pentacles is no exception here. The beauty of it is that in the physical sense, we can recognize what skills, what talents we have, and the quietness of the Seven of Swords is going to allow us to recognize that, and our intuitive nature is going to say, and it's going to bolster and support us. We know we can do this. We don't have to find anything else to bring into the mix. We don't have to pretend that we have this, and we don't have to worry about that we don't have these other skills. We're going to name it. We're going to own it. I love it. Okay, so where is that going to lead us? What is our future heading us? What future are we heading into? Sorry. Ooh. Seven of Wands. I love it when Seven of Wands turns up. The Seven of Wands means that we are heading into much more competitive market, or competitive nature, or competitive part of ourselves. The Two of Pentacles is definitely working, or if you can work with it, to name your skills, because the direction we're heading into is where we are not competing, but we are within our peer group, within our equals. We are going to be I suppose pleased or accepting of our skills and our talents. The Seven of Wands energy is going to magnify that or reflect that back to us. So within that area, we are going to feel confident. We are going to feel that we can compete, that we can that we're relevant. So all of those things are coming into our space this week, and all of the cards leading up to that Seven of Wands energy, where we feel confident and competent, and we can actually manage, and we've got this, which is the aftermath of the Page of Wands energy. Is like, yes, I actually have this, I've got this, I have all these skills. That's where we're heading, and that the Seven of Swords is going to help us contemplate that. And the fact that we feel a bit wobbly around our intuition is helping us strengthen that part of ourselves. We really must be able to work with our intuition in order to move forward. So if we're a bit wobbly with our intuition, this week is going to help us strengthen it, because we're really going to examine that part of who we are and really learn to trust it. Okay, so what's the spiritual? All of this is of course working towards what our soul journey is, what our spiritual journey is. How is that helping us grow as people, as humans? We've got this one here. So this is helping us create a much more stable, family orientated, friends orientated, support orientated atmosphere around us. This doesn't mean to say that we don't have this around us. This is going to help us recognize it and draw it in. So it means that so what I'm feeling around the Ten of Pentacles energy is more so that we already have that. We just haven't been recognizing it. And so all of the cards and the energy around this week is going to open our eyes that actually we do have this. We have people supporting us while we are going. and learning about ourselves and delving into our intuition and recognizing our skills and having that motivation, the support and the love around us is going to be so apparent that that's actually going to help with the Seven of Wands energy of boosting our confidence. Think, you know what? I've got so much love around me. I've got so much support around me. I can actually launch myself into my next project, into my next part of my life, into my relationships, whatever it is that you're channeling your energy into this week. All of them is highlighting how much actual love and support, and that you don't even have to think about it, energy. You don't have to think, oh, I have to ask for permission for this, or have to worry about whether this person's going to, not make issues here, or that situation's not going to make issues here. No, because we're going to see where it's already in place, and we don't have to actually put anything else in place. It's all going to come up and rise up to the surface, and we're going, oh, I actually have all that. So to be able to move forward with confidence. Anyway, I'm going to leave that with you. It sounds like a lovely week for putting things in place and actually recognizing on a personal level how fabulous we all are, how fabulous you are, how fabulous I am, and like naming it, not actually having any external validation. We'll be naming it for ourselves, and because we do that, we actually see all the love and support around us. I'm going to leave that with you. I will catch you next week for the weekly forecast. Hopefully I'll be back in Queensland, fingers crossed, and until next week, with love from me to you, goodbye.